Joining us now to discuss how Catholics can better form their conscience so they can feel confident in their voting decisions, we welcome Colin Donovan, Vice President of Theology at EWTN, our own in-house expert. Colin has advanced degrees in sacred theology and is a frequent commentator on matters of Catholic faith and doctrine. He joins us now from our EWTN studios in Irondale. Colin, thanks for being here. Our conscience is our judgment of reason, according to the Catholic Catechism. Can you first explain what is our responsibility as the Catholic faithful to form our conscience, especially in light of carrying out the civic duty of voting?
Well, forming the conscience, of course, is a lifelong thing, and sadly many people don't do that. So we often need refreshers, and I think the election season is good, and that particularly excellent opening you had touched a lot of the important bases, such as the importance of life. Life is important as a non-negotiable issue, as Pope Benedict pointed out in an address in 2006. And as a non-negotiable issue, that means we cannot take life. It's gravely evil to take life. And I thought it interesting, Archbishop Wensky made the point that in dealing with people, of course, after they're born, if you kill them, they don't have any rights. But after they're born, we then have to continue to treat them with the dignity that they deserve. And it's interesting, of course, in the gospel, our Lord himself, says, what you do to the least of my brethren, you do to me. So a lot of these issues that we have, such as immigration, which was mentioned, such as the economy, what would a just economy provide for individuals in the family to prosper and flourish? A lot of these questions involve complex issues of, how much can we tax? What can the government do? What should individuals do? What should states and cities and families do? And so those are negotiable issues that can be discussed politically between the voter and their elected representatives, to how to respect the dignity of individuals in all of these complex social questions. But whether an individual has life or not, that's a non-negotiable. Whether the family, the marriage of a man and a woman and the children that come from that have life, the respect, and even the support and advance of the state, that's not a negotiable. And anything against it means that that is morally wrong to support things that are contrary to that. Or, as was mentioned, religious liberty. Religious liberty has been called the first liberty in American discourse, because from those conscience rights, the right to think, the right to believe, the right to teach others, your children, what you believe, the right to debate and associate with others over political, all of these freedoms flow from that first freedom, that natural freedom that parents have to teach their children. And so wherever any of these three things are countered, we can say that evil is being done. And we need to support those three areas, and in the other political policy battles, to bring those into play as well, and in favor of the social good which the Church identifies.
Colin, so we've talked about we have this responsibility to form our conscience, but going to a very fundamental question, how does one go about forming his or her conscience? What does that entail, and does it mean having to read the catechism cover to cover?
No, because I think it was mentioned the Bishops' Conference has the Faithful Citizenship document. There's a summary of what the Church is teaching regarding our social responsibilities, our political responsibilities. That would be a good place to start. Certainly watching programs like yours or other EWTN programs and radio shows, these issues are being discussed. This is a way to learn what the Church teaches. We're only trying to convey that truth, not to tell people how to vote. So what people can do is inform themselves from the many faithful sources that are out there, beginning with the Church itself, and particularly our Bishops' Conference document, Faithful Citizenship.
You've already given some practical tips, and I understand that forming one's conscience is a lifelong task. But in the context of the U.S. presidential election, which is a month and a half away, are there more practical tips a viewer can do starting now? Are there other documents you might recommend?
Sure. Well, they can go to EWTN.com/vote, and there I've put a lot of information regarding the different subject matter, regarding what a conscience is, what prudential judgment is from church teaching, from the fathers and doctors of the church. That would be a way to inform yourself. I know the Register is coming out with a voter's guide. I believe EWTN News also will have one. So these are the kinds of sources to make sure that they are faithful to church teaching and that they're trying to explain that teaching, especially to those who maybe have never encountered certain things. And you could go endlessly into depth on it, but unfortunately in the time that's available, it means looking at the most important issues: life, marriage and family, and liberty. Where those are under attack, the tradition has called people who would do that enemies of religion and morality. And there can even be an obligation to vote against them, because allowing them to come to power would then be your responsibility if you did not. So I don't know if we live in such a time, but certainly people historically can say, well, here were times in history where the questions of liberty, and especially of religious liberty and of life and of marriage, have been at issue before, and they weren't stood up for. And it's only by standing up for them that our way of Christian life and our way of life as Americans will ultimately be protected.
Colin, in our remaining time, I do want to get your reaction to something. Pope Francis recently addressed how specifically American voters will need to vote their conscience this upcoming election day. Let's take a listen.
Generally, it is said that not voting is bad. It is not good. You must vote, and you must choose the lesser evil. Who is the lesser evil? That lady or that gentleman? I don't know. Everyone in conscience has to think about it and do this. Make a choice.
Colin, we have just about a minute left, but when we are discerning voting matters, what does Pope Francis mean by choosing the lesser evil?
Well, it goes back to the point I was just making about particular candidates that would be very problematic. And that is, we have to choose the pathway which minimizes the evil. And in doing that, we're not voting for the evil that the candidate we ultimately vote for might do, because everybody's imperfect, but we're voting to stop a greater evil that would be done if that individual were elected. And again, those three areas of life, the area of marriage and family, and the marriage area of parental rights and liberty rights in general, those give us the areas by which we measure the governing policies and person and of what character, if you will, of the candidates. And so those three areas should be used to find out overall which candidate in a particular race is the lesser of the evils.
Colin Donovan, so grateful for your expertise, especially this week. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.